In this module, we're going to dive deeper into using Blackboard as a learning platform and specifically by adding content. Now, I've collapsed everything over here on the left-hand side. So in the basic form, there's two parts of it. Up at the top here, this is for your specific course, and you will add components here. Below this, where it says course management, these are the components that are the same for every single class. So, and everything's collapsed here. So if I open this up, I see this is what I have created up here for myself. And then down here, these are the areas that are the same for everybody. So let's take those one at a time, and let's start up here. Uh, I like to, create buckets or areas over here that hold a lot of content. Although, as you'll see when I go down here, sometimes I violate that. The final exam, I put this up at the top right before the final exam time, put the password to get into the final exam, sent out the Word document in advance, and then gave them the password on the day of the final exam. The answer sheet, just sent that out because that was blank. They were going to put their answers in that. Virtual classrooms, this was the really big area for me. I used this content area, you see I've got the link to enter at the top there, but I used this so that I would have a separate bucket or folder for every single class. And in those folders, then I would have all of the specific information that I wanted them to be ready for that day. Again, this is the April 23 class. In this, I had a PDF file for them to read. I had micro lectures for them to watch in advance of the class. Those were lectures that I put together. Um, then I had the key terms audios for them to listen to, and then they had a quiz to take. And so again, the quiz was a Word document with a password. The answer sheet was just generic there. Then after the fact, after they did their quiz, I put the answer key to the quiz up there. So that wasn't there before, but then I put that up there and sent them an email and said, go check out how you did. So again, you can figure out exactly how you want to set these things up. I liked the virtual classroom for those. This right here, which says Spring 2.0 schedule, there's only one thing here. There's a graphic. But I thought it important enough that they have a little tab over here. And anytime anything changed, I would update the schedule. So see here it says revised April 8. In situations where things are a little bit more dynamic, I thought it was really important that the students always know exactly where things were right now and where things were, heading in the future. The business plan project had a couple of specific folders for some of the components for the business plan that they were working on. This was another one where I kind of violated it. I put just a single video up here, the assumption sheet video. I had a couple of emails from students that didn't know how to do something, and so I sent a quick email out and I said, hey, in answer to that question, I put a quick video up on the side there for how to put together your assumption sheet. Entrepreneur Spotlight audios. This held a number of audios from local entrepreneur, recordings of WebEx class meetings. Every single virtual session that we had via WebEx was recorded. That's real simple to do. There's a separate little instructional video on that. But then once you've recorded those, then you can simply post them to your learning management system. No excuse for anybody that missed virtual class because now there is the recording of that class up there. This last one, this was just extra. I just told the students, hey, here's some extra material. You don't have to look at it if you don't want. It's not going to be graded. It's just, I thought you might find it helpful. So this was a book that I wrote, Get Off Your Butt, and then some audio tracks dealing with some of those topics that were in the book. Again, that just bonus material, if you will. The nice thing about a learning management system like this is you've got the ability to put so much up there, you know, uh, just a tremendous amount of flexibility there. Okay, now let's go down and take a look at the control panel down here. And I only want to look at a couple of things. There's so much capability here. But again, if you're not using a learning management system yet or just barely using it, there's only a couple of components here that are really important, I think, for you to use. Let's go ahead and go into Course Tools. And two that I think are really important here are blogs and email. Now, blogs, I've gone ahead and cleaned out my blogs here so there were no blogs, but this is an area where students can share thoughts. So this might be, especially in a distance learning situation, a good thing to have. Create the blog and student discussion about whatever. And you can put some information in there, and then you can just determine how long the blog is up there, who can get into it, and so on. But it's just a nice place for, a virtual discussion board, if you will. The really big one here is the email. This is a very useful way to communicate with your students. Again, as is so often the case, there's way more here than we really need. The key things are, if you've got TAs and other people other than students, you might want to go to all users. I just have students, so I just utilize the all student users and the single and select users and these single and select groups. Obviously, the all student users will send an email to everybody that's in the class. That's kind of like obvious there. Now, the single select users, I pick and choose who's going to get it. I can send it to one, I can send it to two or three or five or whatever. If there are the same people that I'm always sending it to because they're part of a group, like a team project, here are my team projects for the business plan project. So I created those groups in advance. Then I could just say, hey, I need to send something to the Sonic team or to the Hub team or whatever. And so just like that, click, I'm sending it just to that group or those groups. So that I found to be a really useful tool there. The Grade Center, this is really a useful thing if you've got assignments that go out via your learning management system and they have to submit them, then they come back in and you can go into needs grading and you see, immediately things for you to grade. Hey, it's the end of the semester. My needs grading area is completely empty. Thank goodness. That is rarely the case during the semester. I'm not going to click on the full grade center here because it will show my students' names, and that will be a huge FERPA violation. So I'm not going to do that, of course, but there will be a separate standalone instructional video in case you do want to utilize the Grade Center. Conceptually, I'll walk through how to set that up. Uh, Users and groups, you can set up those groups. I mentioned that I've got my groups from the business plan project. You can do those one of a couple of ways. You can say, hey, I know what students are in which groups, and so I will just manually create those through self-enroll, actually through manual enroll. Or if I want to tell the students, you sign up for whichever group you want to be in, you can do the self-enroll, and then the students will sign up for groups on their own. The nice thing about this is you can say, hey, we're going to have projects on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You've got to sign up for one of those 3 days. But there's 20 students in the class, maximum 7 people in a group. So when the group closes, it's first come, first serve. Probably everyone wants to run get in that Friday group, but students can self-enroll that way. Lots of neat capabilities here in Blackboard, no doubt about it. That just gives you an idea about some of them.